Hey, this is Zoser, aka Vince. I wanted to make a video for you guys to go over some of the many Season 0 changes that are coming. We have a lot of exciting changes coming, and we thought it'd be cool that instead of just reading all the changes, we did a video to kind of help walk through some of the rationale and specifics around the changes. So the topics we'll be covering for this are on the screen. We'll be going over the NFT Runes and Charms, obviously, which is a big addition to Season 0. We'll be reviewing a lot of the crafting changes we're making. We'll be going over the specifics about smooth love potions in Origin for Season 0, which I know a lot of people are excited for. We'll be going over the moon shard and reward changes because there's some changes about the way we're giving out rewards and how those are going to be earned. And lastly, we'll go over the matchmaking and victory star changes. So I hope you guys enjoy this. First thing we'll be going over is the addition of NFT Runes and Charms. So we're going to launch the ERC1155 tokens as the NFT Runes and Charms, which we're going to call Ronin Runes and Charms to make that clear. This is going to be different from the sealed Runes and Charms, which will only stay in Origin. So let's go over some of the differences between these two. So the Ronin Runes and Charms require SLP to craft, so they'll be part of the crafting recipe, and we'll go into that soon. These can, of course, be minted onto the blockchain. These can be bought and sold and gifted in the marketplace, just like Axies. These will expire at the start of a new season, just like all Runes and Charms will be. You know, this will be a normal thing in Origin, that everything expires right before a new season starts. These could, of course, be disenchanted anytime, and you will get some of your moon shards, as well as some of your SLP back from these Ronin Runes and Charms. And then, of course, it's got the Ronin icon right here to kind of distinguish it, so you know that it's a Ronin Rune and Charm. And when you see this, you'll know that you've crafted it and that you can mint it onto the blockchain to buy, sell, and trade. Now, as opposed to the sealed Runes and Charms, which don't have the logo, there'll be no changes from Alpha, so it's still just moon shards to craft. You don't need any SLP. These, of course, cannot be minted onto the blockchain. These will expire, just like the others, and they can be disenchanted any time for some moon shards. So let's talk about the minting process for the Ronin Runes and Charms. So each Ronin Rune and Charm is going to cost a small fee to mint. So this is going to be paid in AXS, but it's going to be pegged to $3 US. So regardless of the price of AXS, it'll always be pegged at exactly $3 US. And this is the fee to mint something onto the blockchain, so from the game to the blockchain. Once it's minted to the blockchain, it'll stay there until you deposit it back into the game. So these Ronin Runes and Charms either exist in the game or on the blockchain, and you kind of move them back and forth. So you mint them onto the blockchain, and then you deposit them back into the game. To manage potential abuse for Season 0, we're going to set the minimum mint time at 7 days. So this might change in the future, but be aware that for Season 0, when you do craft a Ronin Rune or Charm, you're going to have to wait 7 days or 168 hours before you can mint this. Which means for the first 7 days of Season 0, we'll have an empty NFT Rune and Charm marketplace because everyone will be waiting the 7 days. And at that point, it'll populate, and we'll see hopefully a lot of transactions and trading. So that should wrap up the general NFT Runes and Charms overview. Next thing we'll be going over is the crafting changes that are coming to Season 0. So there's going to be a lot of changes to the crafting system, and we're going to kind of review what those are right now. The biggest one, of course, is that you can craft Ronin Runes and Charms, and these are ones that can be minted to the blockchain, so then you can buy and sell and trade them, and gift them to other players. So the last video we talked a little bit about that, and make sure you watch it if you haven't. So the first thing to note is that these Ronin Runes and Charms, when you're crafting them, the lowest you're going to be able to craft is rare. So there are no crafting common Ronin Runes and Charms, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but the biggest one is that if you're using SLP to make these crafts, it should feel good. And so therefore, your minimum criteria is going to be at least rare, and you'll see that when we go over the breakdown soon here. The other important thing to note is the available pool of what you can craft, depending on if you're using moon shards and SLP or just moon shards. So when you're crafting with just moon shards starting Season 0, you're only going to be eligible to craft the neutral Runes and Charms. Now, if you're crafting with both moon shards and SLP, you'll be able to craft any Rune and Charm that's available, so including the class-specific ones. So let's look at sort of some of the new crafting recipes that are coming, because right now in Season Alpha we just had 2 crafting recipes, and we're about to move that to 4 crafting recipes. So in Season Alpha there was just basic and then intermediate. In Season 0, we want there to be more of a progression system. So it's going to start with beginner, and then you'll move to basic, then you'll move to intermediate, and then finally advanced. And this is based on your crafting level. So this is going to do kind of a few things. The first thing is it's going to reward you for increasing your crafting level. So as you increase your crafting level, it should feel better and better. The second thing it's going to do is kind of control the rate at which the epics and mystics are crafted really early in the season. So basically you need to progress up your crafting level before you're even eligible to craft the mystic runes. So we're rewarding players that are sort of, playing the game and moving through the progression systems. Let's look at some of the details of, and there's a lot, so we're going to kind of fly through these. Feel free to check them on your own with a link. But everyone's going to start with beginner craft. This is unlocked at level 1, and this just costs 100 moon shards, and you're just going to craft common, and you'll fly through this pretty quickly because once you hit level 2, you're going to move to basic. Now basic is when it starts getting interesting because now basic you have the choice to craft either with only moon shards or with moon shards and SLP. So at crafting level 2, you'll unlock basic, and this costs 300 moon shards, and you'll have an 80% chance of a common and a 20% chance of a rare. And again, because you're only using moon shards, you'll only be eligible for the neutral. So you'll only be crafting neutral runes and charms, okay? Now, if you want to use SLP as well, you'll be crafting with either basic Ronin A or Ronin B. And the reason they're called Ronin is because you're obviously crafting Ronin runes and charms. So the cost for this is going to be 500 moon shards and 50 SLP. You're going to have a 100% chance of a rare. Your pool is neutral and class specific. In other words, all runes and charms in the rare field. And then you'll be guaranteed a Ronin rune or charm when you do this. Now Ronin B, and this will be a similar formula you see as we move to intermediate and advanced. Ronin B is basically a higher SLP cost version of Ronin A. So for those people that have a bit more SLP or kind of want to make that impulse craft and don't have the moon shards at the moment, they can opt to use more SLP and a little bit less moon shards and then still make the craft. So the only difference between Ronin B and Ronin A is the amount of moon shards and SLP that's required. It will always have the same rate, always have the same pool. So this is just an option in case you've got extra SLP laying around and you want to go ahead and make a craft and you're just a little bit short of moon shards. So moving forward to intermediate, this all unlocks at level 5, and of course we're going to have the only moon shard version, which is 700 moon shards, and the rates are listed right here. So it's 78% chance of common, 25% chance of rare, 5% chance of epic. Again, if you're only crafting with moon shards, you'll only be available to craft neutral rune and charms, and you will not be crafting Ronin runes and charms. So let's look at the Ronin A and Ronin B. So in intermediate, which is crafting level 5, you have the choice to either pay 1,000 moon shards and 100 SLP or 600 moon shards and 500 SLP. And the rate for these pools are 85% chance of rare, 15% chance of epic. And again, this will be guaranteed Ronin runes and charms, so you'll be able to mint these after 7 days for Season 0. So moving on to advanced. At crafting level 10, you'll unlock advanced, which costs 1,000 moon shards. And you'll have a 60% chance at a common, 35% chance at a rare, 4.5% chance at an epic, and a 0.5% chance of a mystic. And again, with no SLP, it'll just be neutral only and no mintable. But moving on, you've got advanced Ronin A and Ronin B. So at crafting level 10, you can either pay 1,500 moon shards and 150 SLP, or 900 moon shards and 750 SLP, and your rate is 70% chance of a rare, 29.5% chance of an epic, and 0.5% chance of a mystic. And again, you can craft any rune or charm in the game using either of these advanced Ronin A or Ronin B, and the result will be guaranteed Ronin, meaning you'll be able to mint whatever comes out of this. So now let's talk about the next thing, which is that the removal of utility crafting items. So what this means is players are no longer going to be able to craft these utility items, which are the Moondust and the ancient moonstones. So there's a few reasons for this. Really the biggest reason is that there's a lot of kind of hoarding going on where as a player you feel like you're forced to basically save, let's say, 13,000 moon shards, and then you would craft 3 mystic Moondusts, and then you would do your roll for 1,000. This is for Season Alpha. And that's a lot of moon shards that you have to use. And there's a lot of decisions that take place. And it's about decisions like, should I craft these Moondust? Should I craft the ancient moonstones? How should I best navigate this crafting system? And it can be a little complex and overwhelming. So we kind of want to simplify this, and we just want to say, hey, when you have moon shards, you don't have to make too many decisions. You just have to craft. Don't worry too much about it. Okay? So we still love utility items. And coming up here soon in a video, we're going to discuss about how some reward changes are working so that we're still going to reward and give you guys these utility items. So you're still going to have access to these through different progression systems. You just don't have to worry about crafting them. You can just focus on using your moon shards to be solely rolling for the runes and charms. So hopefully this should be good, and we're excited for your guys' feedback on this. And then last is a small change to utility items, speaking of them. As you noticed, when you're using the Ronin formulas, you don't have a chance at a common anymore. So for that reason, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have Moondust decrease chance of common. So these are going to be the changes from Season Alpha. We're going to call Moondust Rare. It's now going to be called Moondust Basic. It's going to reduce the chance of a rare and give you an increased chance of an epic. The Moondust Epic is going to give you less chance of a rare, higher chance of epic and mystic. And a Moondust Mystic is going to give you less chance of rare and higher chance of epic and mystic. So this should complement the new system much better, especially if you're using the SLP crafts, because you're reducing your rare chance, which is sort of your lost condition, and increasing your chance to get epic and mystic. So this kind of wraps up the crafting changes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So next, let's go over the moon shard and reward changes that are happening to Season 0. So the high-level thing here is that we really want to reward players that are not only playing, but especially winning in Ranked Arena. That should really be the core of the game. At the same time, we want to disincentivize people from feeling like, making multiple accounts and, farming foraging boxes or adventure is the ideal way to play this game. And so we're going to basically bake that into the rewards so that the players who are, playing and winning Ranked Arena should be much more rewarded than people just, passively farming foraging boxes. So basically what the specific changes are is that we're going to increase moon shards from Ranked Arena wins. We're going to give rewards through sealed runes and charms, which are the ones that can't be traded, and utility crafting items from crafting level up. And then we're going to give out utility crafting items as well in the first time rank up rewards. So every time you hit, new ranks, we're going to give you some utility crafting items, the Moondust and the ancient moonstones. Where we're going to decrease moon shards is from first time rank up rewards, especially in the earlier ranks. We're also going to decrease moon shards from adventure, from star milestone, and from foraging box. And then we're going to remove moon shards from account leveling up as well. So here are some specifics about that. So in the ranks egg through hair, there's going to be about 20% increase in moon shards compared to Season Alpha. Boar through bear, there's going to be about 25% increased moon shards per win compared to Season Alpha. And in tiger through challenger, there'll be about 33% increased moon shards per win compared to Season Alpha. So if you are winning Ranked Arena, you really should be feeling much better about the amount of moon shards you're earning, which is good. For some of the rewards as far as crafting level up, so crafting level up is going to be a big progression system in the game now. And so as you level your crafting level up, as we talked about in an earlier video, not only will you unlock more and better recipes, but you will also be earning just rewards for doing that. And so these rewards are listed right here. And so this is for Season 0. So early on, you're going to be earning, some runes, some utility items. You're going to get some Moondust, some, common neutral charms, just to kind of help along the way. There's going to be other runes coming at you. You're going to get some rare runes. You'll get a Moondust Epic. So kind of feel free to look at this. But the idea here is that each time you increase your crafting level, it should feel good, and you should get something to help you in some way. So we're truly trying to make the game more rewarding and more of a sense of progression. So yeah, feel free to take a look at this, and we welcome feedback on it. And then let's talk about the first time rank up rewards as well. So this will be a bit different compared to Season Alpha. So the moon shards early on are going to be a lot less. and they're going to scale up. So it's really incentivizing to try to keep playing and hit higher and higher ranks, because it's just going to get more and more moon shards. On top of that, we're also going to give out utility items. So as you see, when you hit boar, you're going to start earning utility items, and these go all the way up to Moondust Mystics as well. So again, if we put all this together, even though you're not crafting utility items anymore, you can see that you'll be earning them from crafting level up. You'll also be earning them through rank level up as well. And so hopefully you still have a good supply of utility items to use. And yeah, that's basically the Season 0 Moonshard and reward changes. So next, let's review the matchmaking and victory star changes. I actually think this makes sense to review before going over SLP, because a lot of the changes in here will give more context to the way the SLB is distributed. So the first thing is there's going to be some logic changes, and so matchmaking should do a better job matching you with people within your MMR more consistently. And the second thing is you can't match with the same player that you've played in the previous 3 matches. So if you face someone, your next 3 matches, you shouldn't have to face them again. The second thing we're doing is we're multiplying all victory stars, the ones you earn, by 10. The reason we're doing this is that we're going to have an ELO system, so that when players reach Challenger, they're going to have 1,800 victory stars. In Season Alpha, they had 180, and that would make the ELO system kind of confusing because we'd have to use decimal places. By multiplying all victory stars by 10 across the board, it means that you need now 1,800 victory stars to get to Challenger, and at that point you can convert to an ELO system using 1,800 as the base number. So let's look at how this looks now with the multiplication of 10. So this is pretty much the same as Alpha. It's just that all of these numbers have an extra 0 now behind them. So when you're in egg, chicken, hare, when you win 20, and when you lose 10. So egg, chicken, hare are basically an inflationary kind of rank, because if you had a 50% win rate, you would actually be moving up, because every time you win more than you lose. So keep that in mind. Once you reach boar and above, at that point, every time you win, you just win 10, and when you lose 10. Now, there are still win streaks involved, and so just like Season Alpha, when you're in boar and wolf and bear, you're still eligible to hit a win streak. And so, yeah, you can read more about that. The overview of victory stars to reach the new tiers, it's just kind of laid out here. I believe it's very similar to Season Alpha, with just an extra 0 at the end of each one. And so the main thing is that in order to hit Challenger, you'll need, instead of 180, you'll need now 1,800, and that's just because everything's multiplied by 10. We're also implementing a previous star victory bonus. So depending on the rank you finish, you're going to get a victory star bonus in the next season. So if a player, let's say, finished in Tiger in Season Alpha, for Season 0, they're going to be getting 30 additional victory stars every time they win. And each time they move up a rank, this will go down by 10. So, for example, a player finished last season in Tiger, and they start off Season 0. All of their wins, they'll get their 20 plus 30, so they'll be getting 50 victory stars per win. Now, when they promote to Chick, this will go down, so they'll only earn 20. And then when they promote to Hare, they'll only earn 10. So this does eventually fade away, but this does give the high-ranked players from the previous season kind of a boost to go quicker. And this should work well for everybody, because that means players that were in Challenger last season should kind of get through Egg and Chick quicker in a new season, so they're not going to be hanging around there and kind of beating up on newer players. They should more quickly get to the sort of ELO or area they deserve to be. So that's kind of laid out here, and you can read the details. As mentioned earlier, Challenger players are now going to use an ELO system. So when you hit Challenger and you have 1,800 victory stars, you're going to totally convert to an ELO system. You're not going to be gaining 10 or losing 10 victory stars. You're going to be doing pure ELO. And so if you know how a basic ELO system works, we're just going to be following that. We're going to have a victory star decay in place now. And this is specifically for Challenger players. So when you reach Challenger, if you stop playing, after a couple days, you will start losing points. So you will actually lose ELO until you fall out of Dragon. So this is to incentivize Challenger players to keep playing and keep winning, and not just get to a comfortable spot and entirely stop. And then last but not least, all the changes we had laid out for Alpha really no longer apply, because everything here sort of accounts for those. And so you can kind of disregard the system we used for Alpha, as everything's covered here. Okay, last but not least, let's go over the addition of SLP in Origin for Season 0. So the most important thing to call out from the beginning is that SLP is going to start being distributed at rank Boar, okay? And so the reason this is because all players are going to start at Egg, and you cannot go lower than Egg. So this is a little bit different than Classic, where you could drop below your starting rank. The second reason is, as you saw by the last video we did, everything up until Boar is sort of an inflationary rank system. So even if you just go 50% win rate, you'll still actually climb. And so even if you win one, lose one, win one, lose one, just with that logic alone, you will make it to Boar. But it also gives you something to kind of, chase for and kind of move into. So that's the most important thing to call out, is that SLP is going to start being distributed at rank Boar or higher. And now kind of let's look at the specifics of that. So we better make this thing a lot bigger. So when we look at this is depending on the exact rank you are, how much SLP you earn, and then what Ronin level you're at. And just to clarify what Ronin level means, it means how many NFT Axies you're using on your team. So just like Classic, if you're not using any NFT Axies, you won't earn SLP. However, unlike Classic, if you use 1 or 2 NFT Axies, you can earn a portion of SLP. And then, of course, with 3 NFT Axies, you'll earn the most SLP. So this is basically how it looks, and you can see that starting at Boar with 3 NFT Axies, you'll earn 1 NFT, and this will scale up, through Wolf, Bear, Tiger, Dragon, and eventually Challenger, where the most amount of SLP you'll be. And then roughly, for having just 2 NFT Axies, you'll earn about 2/3 of the SLP, and for just 1 NFT Axie on your team, you'll earn about 1/3 of the SLP. So this is how the system looks, and there's going to be links to this. It's going to be in game as well, and yeah, that's sort of the overview. Now, as for crafting, when you use SLP, let's make sure to distinguish that on-chain SLP and the in-game SLP are just slightly different, in that you need to make sure that if you don't have any in-game SLP, you need to deposit it into the game. So if you earn SLP from winning battles, of course you can turn around and craft that right away. But if you don't have any SLP on your Origin account, but you have it on the blockchain, you're going to need to deposit it or burn it, however you want to consider it, into the game so that you can then use it inside the game. Now, let's talk about a big thing for Season 0 in terms of claiming. So moving in the long term, we eventually want to see SLP get to a place where every 7 days you can claim it. And this would, of course, be half the amount of time as Classic, where you needed to wait 14 days. However, for Season 0, we're not going to have any minting. So what this means is Season 0 is a 30-day season. So for that 30 days, you can't claim the SLP. There's just a lot of bugs, abuse, and exploits that we have to check. And I think it's really important that we sort of protect the ecosystem while SLP is so new to Origin. So don't worry, the SLP you earn is still yours, and you can still claim it when Season 0 is over. You just got to wait until the Season 0 ends. And so it's essentially just 30 days instead of the 14 days that you're used to from Classic. And then a final note about SLP is that because it's eligible to be used in game and earned, we need to distinguish between sort of the person who might be using an account like a scholar versus somebody who owns an account, which is the person who has the Ronin wallet. And so for that reason, the person who owns the Ronin wallet can decide if they want SLP to be able to be used inside Origin, and they'll do this with a checkbox. So if you're the Ronin account owner of an account, you can decide if that account is eligible to, essentially use SLP to craft inside the game. So that basically wraps it up.